All right, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're jumping right into something the tech community absolutely loves to argue about. We're decoding the reality of enterprise software in the year 2026. For years now, people have been debating whether Java is finally, on its way out. They usually point to the massive, explosive growth of languages like Python. But as we're going to see today, the actual data tells a completely different and, frankly, a really fascinating story. We're going to decode Java's continuing relevance, and we're looking at the whole picture, from those high-level boardroom decisions all the way down to the actual bytecode that runs our world.
To set the tone here, I really want to anchor our explainer with this absolute classic quote from Linux creator Linus Torvalds. "Talk is cheap. Show me the code." I love this because when we're evaluating tech stacks, especially at the enterprise level, there is so much talk, right? A lot of hype, and honestly, a lot of emotional attachment to our favorite languages. Well, today, we're checking all that at the door. We're strictly looking at hard data, actual performance benchmarks, and real code architecture. No hype, just the facts. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll zoom out and look at the 2026 enterprise landscape. Second, we'll trace Java's evolution from version 21 up to 25. Third, we'll get under the hood and talk memory management. And finally, we'll give you the ultimate Python versus Java verdict.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2026 enterprise landscape. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast. Where does Java actually sit today when you compare it to its biggest rival, Python? To really get this, we have to look way past the simple popularity contests and see where these languages are actually doing the heavy lifting in production. On the left side, you've got Python. It captures a massive 57.9% of developer usage. That's according to recent Stack Overflow surveys, and it just completely dominates the TOB index. With the AI boom, it undoubtedly owns the mindshare. But then, look at the right side. Java maintains this totally unmatched footprint. We're talking an estimated 70% of enterprise applications built with Java or running on the Java virtual machine. So yeah, Python is absolutely winning those new project starts and developer preference, but Java is still the undisputed heavyweight champion of existing mission-critical infrastructure.
And to really put that enterprise footprint into perspective, check out this data from a recent Azul State of Java survey. A staggering 99% of active enterprise organizations are using Java today. I mean, just think about that for a second. We work in an industry that is completely obsessed with the new and the novel, right? Yet nearly every single major enterprise on the planet relies on a language that first came out over 30 years ago. It is just heavily entrenched in banking cores, insurance processing, high-frequency trading, the stuff that literally cannot fail. Which brings us to exactly why that entrenchment isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Trillions. Trillions with a T. That represents the daily financial transaction volume running on Java systems right at this very moment. When you are responsible for processing trillions of dollars, things like stability, static type safety, and 20 years of backward compatibility, they matter infinitely more than whatever the absolute hottest framework on Hacker News happens to be today. Enterprise CTOs prioritize predictable, rock-solid execution over trend cycles. Full stop. All right, let's move into Section 2, Java 21 to 25. Let's see how the language itself is evolving. Now, just because Java is stable, that certainly doesn't mean it's stagnant. Actually, scratch that. It's been changing a lot. This slide brilliantly illustrates Java's recent philosophy, which is all about reducing everyday developer friction, but without sacrificing the core structure that makes it so reliable. Back in Java 21, you had some pretty rigid rules. Constructors had to call super on the literal first line, simple programs required all this heavy boilerplate, and pattern matching kinda struggled with raw primitives. Fast forward to Java 25 and look at the difference. We now have flexible constructor bodies, compact source files thanks to JET 512, and primitive patterns. Java is actively shedding that old reputation of being overly verbose. Let's actually look at what that means in practice, because this is wild. This tiny 3-line snippet, this is JET 512 in action. Historically, if you just wanted to print Hello World in Java, you had to define a class, write out that infamous public static void main method, type out system.out.println. It was a serious barrier to entry, especially for beginners. But Java 25 completely removes all that unnecessary ceremony for simple programs. You can now write a minimal program almost exactly like you would in a quick scripting language. It's a real game changer for rapid prototyping and for folks who are just learning the ropes.
But it's not just about simplified main methods. Java 25 brings a few other absolutely crucial enhancements to the table. We've got flexible constructors, that's JET 513, which finally lets you safely validate arguments before you call the parent constructor. Developers have literally been asking for that for decades. Then there's JEP 511, introducing module import declarations, which cleans up those massive, ugly blocks of import statements at the top of your files. And JEP 506 finalizes scoped values. This provides safe, predictable context propagation that pairs beautifully with modern virtual threads, smoothly bypassing all those hidden memory risks we used to have with older thread local variables.
Okay, moving right along to Section 3. Let's look under the hood and talk about memory. To really appreciate what modern Java can do, we need to dive right into the engine of the Java virtual machine. At its core, we have garbage collection, which is just an automatic memory management process. Basically, the runtime identifies objects that your program isn't using anymore and effortlessly recovers that memory. Think of it like a highly efficient maintenance crew in a massive, busy factory. The developers are running the assembly line, creating objects constantly, while the garbage collector works in the background, sweeping up the waste so the production line never stalls out or runs out of space. And the engineering behind these modern maintenance crews is just staggering. Take the LXR collector architecture that's been outlined in some recent academic research. It's like a three-step masterclass. First, it identifies dead objects using advanced reference counting. Second, it uses a backup concurrent trace to catch any of those complex cyclical dead references. And finally, it zeroes out the memory in bulk before reallocation. So what does this highly academic mathematical concept mean for us? It translates to a hyper-efficient way of clearing out dead code without ever pausing your application.
The crucial takeaway here is exactly how fast this process has become. With modern JVM garbage collectors like CGC and Shenandoah, the system now achieves sub-millisecond pauses. Let me just repeat that. Sub-millisecond, less than 1,000th of a second. The maintenance crew is so incredibly fast that the factory never even notices they're there. If you blink, you literally missed it 1,000 times over. This completely shatters that old, tired stereotype of Java being this slow, clunky language that freezes up during operation. Today, it is heavily optimized for incredibly low latency environments.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, the 2026 Python versus Java verdict. Let's zoom all the way back out to the boardroom level to answer that ultimate CTO question. When you're standing up a brand new enterprise application today, which language should you actually use? Well, when we look at this data objectively, we're really seeing two brilliant tools designed for entirely different jobs. For standard REST API, Java running on Spring Boot can push around 40,000 to 60,000 requests per second per core. Meanwhile, Python frameworks, like Fast API, handle around 20,000. So Java wins heavily on raw throughput for extreme scale. But wait, look at the memory and startup times. Python instances require vastly less memory, hovering around 80 to 120 megabytes, and they boot up in under half a second. Compare that to Java's heavier JVM overhead and its multi-second cold starts.
And then we have to talk about the human element of software engineering. There is a massive structural difference here. Building an equivalent feature in Python generally requires about 3 to 5 times less code than doing the exact same thing in Java. Think about that. Less code translates directly to faster initial development cycles, way easier onboarding for new developers, and just a highly agile environment overall. Python simply allows you to iterate and ship faster, period. And all of this leads us to the reality of 2026. It's not a zero-sum game, guys. 62% of enterprises that are heavily invested in Java are currently integrating AI right now. But here's the kicker. They aren't usually rewriting their AI models in Java. No, they're building hybrid stacks. The synthesis here is totally clear. Use Python for its incredible developer velocity, its world-class data science libraries, and its AI model training. And then use Java as the ultra-reliable, high-throughput transactional backbone that actually holds the entire enterprise infrastructure together. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought as you evaluate your own tech stack. In today's polyglot world, where your architecture can easily support multiple languages running side by side, what is your backend's primary bottleneck? Are you bottlenecked by absolute high-frequency transactional throughput? If so, you lean on Java. Or are you bottlenecked by developer velocity and the absolute need to rapidly integrate AI features? If that's the case, Python is your answer for sure. Don't base your architecture on language popularity, base it on the exact problem you need to solve today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.